Hello, everyone, and welcome to Comic Book Book Club. So, this is a new series that I'm starting. The idea for the series is that I want to read through all of Daredevil Volume 2. So, starting at the Marvel Knights run with Kevin Smith and going all the way through to Shadowland by Andy Diggle. And I was unhappy with how a lot of reading orders treat this era of Daredevil, and they want to act like it is an island, and that essentially you can get all of the information that you need to understand it just by reading it sequentially. Um, Whereas I feel that there is a whole lot of cool stuff going on in the Marvel Universe at this time, that a lot of it does not necessarily impact Daredevil in a way to where you need to go and read Civil War or Secret Invasion, but a lot of it touches on Daredevil, and a lot of it has effects in Daredevil. So there are moments that it would behoove you to have read Civil War, or moments where it would help to read Iron Fist and know what is going on in Iron Fist, that leads into Daredevil and eventually leads into Shadowland. So in doing so, I realized that this would be the perfect time to create a book club. So I want to be doing between 10 and 14 issues a week, between 2 and 3 storylines, just however the comics end up. Reading through this era, talking about what I think, and then I'd like to get some feedback from you guys. I'd like to see what you all think. So this is a companion project. Half of this will be on YouTube, and half of this will be on my website, vyingfortime.com. So on YouTube, what I will be doing is I will be doing 2 shorts based on 2 of the storylines for the week. And then I will be doing this, a long format video that coincides with my general feelings for the week. And what I'm excited about coming up, or anything like that. And then on the website, I will be doing a deep dive into the actual stories. So, for example, this week it was Daredevil Guardian Devil, which is the first 8 issues written by Kevin Smith with art by Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti, and Black Panther the Client, which is the first 5 issues of Christopher Priest's run on Black Panther. The first 4 issues is Texeira on art. The 5th issue is a guest artist, Vince Evans. But basically, I did a whole article on those 2. It's something like 20 pages, 6,000 words. I mean, it is basically the entire story, spoiler and all, talking about the story, the art, the greater implications for the Marvel Universe and for the characters. And I do a tier list because the internet loves tier lists. So you can't escape the algorithm. You have to pander sometimes. So I did a tier list, and it's all in the article. So what this video is it's going to be more surface level thoughts in general on the comics, and on this idea for a book club. There will be full spoilers for at least Daredevil, because I cannot talk about that run without saying some major spoilers, because it's one of the problems I have with the run. So without further ado, I would just like to jump right in to Daredevil Guardian Devil by Kevin Smith. This is quite possibly, probably tied with Saladin Ahmed's run that just concluded, my least favorite run on Daredevil. There are single issues back in the 70s that are bad. And Stan Lee's run is pretty hard to read. But I would say from a modern lens, this Kevin Smith run's rough. I mean, I cannot get over it. And I contemplated not reading it. But the problem I ran into was I have not read this book since 2015. And in my head, I'm a different person since 2015. I have a different knowledge of comic books since 2015. I have a lot different opinions on Daredevil since 2015. When I read it back then, I had only read Frank Miller's run. I read Daredevil Yellow, ironically, with the spoiler from this run. I didn't know that this was the run where it happened. And I just didn't know what I was getting into. It was the early days of the Daredevil TV show. People were super excited. They were doing, saying, hey, if you want to get into it, start here, whatever. So all that aside, I reread it. My opinion stands. I cannot stand it. I think it is so bad. My main complaint with it is that the outcome that Kevin Smith wanted, the reason that the stories exist, is to get Nelson and Murdoch reopened, to have Foggy and Matt working together in a partnership. They were in a law firm prior to this, with Foggy's mom as the anchor to it. She was the seasoned lawyer. But regardless, to get them back together, to have them both be single, and to go back to this notion that nobody knew Daredevil's secret identity. Because by the end of Volume 1, there were a couple people, superheroes and non-superheroes, who were aware of the fact that Matt Murdock was Daredevil. And to do this, Kevin Smith decided to commit a couple character assassinations and sweep it under the rug, and the lasting impacts are bad. So he created a storyline to give Karen Page AIDS, which, it's the 90s, and the diagnosis and information on AIDS was so much less than now. So I'm sure that it didn't seem, I don't know, it seems incredibly insensitive in 2025. It seems ridiculous. Give her AIDS, have the reader cope with that, have Foggy have an illicit affair, and the person that he's having an affair with turns into a demon and kills herself, and the police think that Foggy raped her and threw her out a window. So he goes to jail. Matt throws a baby off of a building. It's just crazy. And I understand, I just read it, so don't come at me saying, it was hallucinogens and so. I get it. I understand that. But what I'm bothered by is not so much that these things happened. What I'm bothered by is the way that Smith wrote them in, had us get a reaction out of it, just to 2, 3, 4 issues later say, oh, it was all fake. Karen didn't have AIDS. That was a fake doctor. Oh, Foggy didn't rape that woman. She was on drugs. Oh, Matt he wasn't in his right head when he threw that baby off the apartment. He was on hallucinogens. When in my head, I'm like, that doesn't make it better, right? Like that completely downplays what you spent 8 issues doing. And there's a wonderful moment at the end of it where Matt is talking to Mysterio and basically telling him that you didn't win, you didn't beat me. And he harkens back to the previous storylines in which the Kingpin tried to do this. And he's like, you didn't do it like the Kingpin did, like that story written by Frank Miller called Daredevil Born Again. And it's so on the nose. And I don't know, it's like Smith wants to jump in front of that claim, where people are like, oh, this is just Born Again. And it's like, and he's like jumping out in front. But yeah, I said that first. I said it was like, I'm trying to do that. Isn't that cool? And I'm just like, no, man, it's not cool. It's not cool. It doesn't work as well as Miller. Miller didn't need to disparage, 30 years of comic book history and perform character assassinations plus real deaths in the book. So anyway, can't stand that run. I gave it a D, ironically, D for Daredevil. I hope that it's the worst thing that I read during this reading order. I know I've got some real stinkers coming up. But as of right now, I think this is probably the worst thing that's on there. So it can only go up from here. The annoying thing is that I can't even tell you all not to read it. Because it has such implications for Daredevil. It is the basis for the last 30 years of the character. The death of Karen Page was never retconned. He never got another love interest to the degree of Karen. It still haunts him throughout the remainder of Volume 2. And into the Wade and Samney run, and into, the Zdarsky run. Like, it's just, it just stays with him. He never gets over that. So it's important to read that and see where this comes from. But also, it's a really bad story. So, read it at your own risk. I basically spoiled the whole thing, so I hope that you've already read it prior to getting this far in the video. But that's the reason it's on the reading order. Otherwise, I would have just skipped it and started with David Mack, because his run's much better anyway. So transitioning to the second book, Black Panther, The Client. So Christopher Priest writes in a super complicated, convoluted way. I love his writing. I love this run. I have read it through 3 or 4 times now. I own the omnibuses. I read his Superman Lost series, and I loved it. I tried to hunt down his Deathstroke run on Rebirth, and I just couldn't find it for an affordable price. I love his writing, but I need to be objective in these reviews and overviews and say it's hard to get into. It is a hard sell to tell somebody to stick with it based on the first 5 issues. He tells stories. He starts in media res, which is fairly standard, but he gives you a scene, 2 scenes prior to that, but only 15 seconds of it. And then a scene 5 scenes forward from that, but only 10, 15 seconds of that. And then he jumps around a lot. And it's built into the narrative. It's explained that the narrator is a faulty narrator. So he kind of covers his bases there. There's a literary device and reasoning behind it. And then Texeira's art, the artist for the first 4 issues, for some reason, there's a guest artist on issue 5 in the culmination of the storyline, and it is very jarring. But Texeira's art is also really hard to follow. He does I don't know if it's actually a mixed media. It appears to be a mixed media, but a lot of 90s comic books, they were experimenting with digital art. So you have these weird pseudo paint-like art where it's actually with like a digital pen. So regardless, his art is very muddied. His poses are very static. It's hard to tell what's going on. It doesn't help that Christopher Priest's story is hard to follow. But and it sounds like I'm just shitting on this one too. But I think that all in all, for the fact that this is the first Black Panther story in 7 years since Black Panther's Panther's Prey in 1991 by Don McGregor. I think it's fantastic. I think that he did a great job of reintroducing Black Panther, creating a Black Panther for the 90s, kind of not making fun of the character of Black Panther and T'Challa. He's very respectful of what came before, but he creates a character in Ross, who is the narrator, to which he can have Ross say the things that critics or comic book fans, or however you want to visualize it, are saying about Black Panther. And inside the comic book, and then Black Panther gets to dispel those claims, right? Like, it's a grown black man jumping around in a kitty cat costume, or he's a king of a nation, but he never goes to that nation. He just chills at the Avengers Mansion. There's even a claim by one of the drug dealers in one of the early, I think it's in issue 1, where he says, "Oh, is this the Black Panther? Are you the one that carries the bags for the Avengers?" So Priest is aware of all of this, and unlike Kevin Smith, where he makes his reference to Born Again, which I feel like is such a bad, it just reminds people that it was done better. Priest is making these allegations within the book itself to show you that, this is not the Black Panther that you remember, right? This is the Black Panther for the 90s, written by Priest. So all in all, funky art aside and hard to follow, I do think this is a B. I think this is a good Black Panther story. He introduces a lot to the mythos, even in these first 5 issues. He introduces the Dora Milaje. He introduces Okoye, and Nakia, and he introduces the Hatut Zerazi and Hunter, and he does all of this without crazy retcons. I mean, they are all retcons, but they're not disrespectful to the people that wrote before. He carves his own little niche and says, this is where these things live. It doesn't interfere with the Jack Kirby stuff, with the Don McGregor stuff. But yeah, I think that it's good. So that leaves us at the end of week 1 with 1 D for Daredevil and 1 B for Black Panther. And I didn't do that on purpose, but it's easy to remember. So I'm going to keep doing that going forward. Next week, which is week 2, there will be 3 stories. It's just how the stories lined up. So we're going to be doing Daredevil Parts of a Whole, which is issues 9 through 15, the next 6 issues. It is David Mack on writing duty, except for 1 issue where Quesada fills in and does writing. I don't know what the deal with that is. And Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti on art still. And then the next 2 issues of Black Panther. So that is issue 6 and 7. It is kind of an interlude, kind of its own little story. Black Panther versus Kraven. Still by Christopher Priest. New artist, and I cannot tell you who the artist is. I did not look. And then I am going to do the first 4 issues of the 1997 run of Heroes for Hire. So this is the first comic of the 5 now that I have not read before. So I'm very excited. I love Iron Fist. I love Luke Cage. I have not read enough Luke Cage. But I've read basically all of the Iron Fist that I could get my grubby little hands on, minus this run, because this run has an appearance of Deadpool. And last time I tried to get a hold of this run was right when the Deadpool movie was announced, and that issue was incredibly expensive. So I just kind of put that on a back burner, and now I'm just now getting back to it. So I hope to see you guys here next week for week 2 of the Comic Book Club. If you have any opinions, please let me know. Let me know about opinions about the concept of the book club in general, opinions about my opinions. But I will warn you, please go read the article before you crucify me over my opinions on Kevin Smith's Daredevil run, because I promise you, a lot of my opinions are more developed in that article. I mean, I spent probably nine or 10 hours cross-referencing and putting my thoughts together about what I dislike about that run. So if you want to make a comment based on the video and call me out and say I'm wrong, that's fine. But I will probably just copy and paste stuff from the article as a response to your comment, because a lot of it's broken down there. And you know, we can have discourse and you can talk about what you think. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. And this is something new, and I'm excited. So we'll see how it pans out. Great.